y'all? It's your girl, Kimmy Changa. First, make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube channel and you turn on notifications so you can keep up with all my new content. All right, let's get into it. So today's topic is very important to me, and it's also a pretty serious topic, and that is of mental health and therapy. Now, mental health isn't as much of a taboo topic as it used to be, but I still think we have a long way to go in embracing the need for mental health resources, both personally and professionally. Now, when you think about everything that we're going through in this nation, from the global pandemic to job loss because of that, the national uprising, global uprising for racial justice and against police brutality, and now you had the Capitol insurrection, and yeah, the transition of presidents, though I think that's definitely for the better, but all of it combines to be very intense for individuals across the nation. And I think that we need to talk about mental health more. And one of the facets of that is therapy. Now, and I've talked about this before. When I was younger, I dealt with trichotillomania, which is the inclination and the habit of pulling one's hair out, and especially anxious settings. So I did that well into high school, and I really just got to a place where like my hair and I are on in a good place. But yeah, I would mainly pick out of my eyebrows and like my scalp. And I've suffered from anxiety for a very, very long time. I was actually in the fourth grade when a teacher described me as a worry wart, which as about a 9-year-old, that stayed with me, obviously. And I never felt good about that because it wasn't my fault, but it was obviously something people saw in me at a very young age. So dealt with that into adulthood. But then I started going to therapy. Actually, when I started dating my now husband, he really encouraged me to, sit down with somebody. And it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. So I go to therapy one-on-one, and we also go to couples therapy. But we've been doing that before we were married. We did that when we were dating, which is probably one of the best things we could have done, because as two very different people from two different parts of the state and backgrounds, we really needed to work on our communication style. I'm obviously a very outspoken, pro-black, stubborn Taurus, hey, person, and I was used to living alone and just being alone. So just transitioning that into a relationship, which at that time was long distance. So we had a lot of ground to cover and just how to best communicate, and learning our love languages, learning each other's love languages. So therapy was one of the best decisions. And I think one of the stigmas of that is that if you're going to therapy, there is something wrong. And honestly, therapy a lot of times helps you avoid that point where things do get wrong. Now, if you think about a lot of couples right now, because of the pandemic, they were thrown into situations where they are together 24/7. That means when they're working, that means when, the day is over and work is already work is part of the home. So that's already another, aspect that people are having to work through. But yeah, couples are being thrown together, and, some rose with it and some people had a really difficult time. I'm actually aware of a lot of couples that didn't make it, unfortunately. So it's just one of the best things, and we've been doing it virtually for safety reasons. But I just think it's important to talk about that, because a lot of adults right now are facing the duality of being professional but also being a teacher to their children who are also at home with them, and having to make sure that they're staying afloat in their studies while also trying to stay afloat in their professional world. And I know that a lot of people are getting burned out. A lot of people were laid off or furloughed. So there is just a whole wide spectrum of people who are hitting a wall on their mental health right now. And the same way we talk about, staying fit and staying physical and active during this time of stay-at-homes and quarantines, we also need to talk about making sure your mental health and everything emotionally is also, you're also staying fit with that as well. And so I think the conversation then needs to be, well, what does that look like? And I think a lot of that is therapy and counseling and EAP through your, maybe particular business or job. But I really want to talk about that because I, for one, really struggled at the beginning of the pandemic. Also, I love working from home, but there was, some stress and whatnot, and it just felt like I was bringing it into that after 8 to 5 or, before, thinking about it and stressing about it while I was sleeping. So really focusing on that kind of dialogue in my counseling sessions to just help me get back. So my Christmas vacation really helped me get to a place of just calm and relaxation and zen and centering myself, so that heading into 2021, which I was very sure wasn't going to be much different from 2020 when you look at just how life is from day to day, it really helped me just come into the year realistic, but also optimistic. And a lot of optimism comes from the website that I created and launched last month. So if you are having trouble or, just trying to find a balance in your world and you feel like you're spinning, please reach out to someone. I'm going to have a list of more of the national numbers that you can call at the end of this video, but just take care of yourself. Obviously, we all have different situations of who we are living with and staying with right now. Some people are unfortunately separated and have been so for a long time, separated from their families. But, look in on those people, make sure they're taking care of themselves, but also make sure you're taking care of yourself. Because, it's so easy to get burned out. It's so easy to not realize that you're being burned out. So there are definitely key signs to look out for. And I think talking to someone in therapy or counseling can really help you point out what those are. Point out your triggers. If you are, with a partner that you're either dating or married, whether you've been in it for a long time or you're newlyweds, having that much time together, which, we weren't spending as much before when we would go out to the office or go with our respective friend groups. Right now you might have a lot of triggers that are being set off. So it's a good idea to sit down, maybe write those down, talk to your partner about it, have those conversations, have that dialogue, and just really open up. Because right now we're all in a very, very vulnerable place, in a vulnerable state, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with how your body is changing. There's nothing wrong with how your emotions are changing. These are unprecedented times. So you may need to tap into some support systems that you hadn't before. And that is completely all right. So if you have any suggestions, or if you just kind of want to share what you've been going through, feel free to leave that in the comments. I'll definitely, look out for it and definitely respond. Just thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope each and every one of you who is watching this video is doing okay. And if you're not, I hope that you get the help and the support that you need to stay strong. Peace.